don't mind, give me an intro. Let the people know who you are.
Absolutely. So I'm Duceo Smith, owner, founder, creator of Assured Quality Solutions, father, businessman, entrepreneur, black-owned business owner, uh, product of my community.
Product of your community. I like that. And what community is that? If you don't mind giving us a brief, well, not brief, you can make it as long as you want to. Give us a little background on who Duceo is.
Sure thing. So I'm a Detroit native, born in Detroit, came home from Hutzel Hospital to Monica and Davidson. From there, went to the Southwest area, and then from Southwest went to Brightmoor. And then about beginning of grade school, third, fourth grade, I ended up moving out of Detroit to the Westland area, the Western Wayne County, for those who don't know. From there, I kind of stayed, and that was mostly my stomping grounds. I would definitely claim the Westland area as somewhere where I did most of my growing up. You know, as far as high school, I ended up going to middle school, so I went to two different types of school. I ended up going to alternative school because of just youthful, adolescent, juvenile, delinquent kind of attitude. You know, I went through, got into my first fights in Westland, first real girlfriend in Westland. So that was one of the things that I definitely started to come in terms. Like, yeah, I'm from Detroit, but also Westland has a great stakehold in the forming of who I am. From there, you know, a lot of moving around after high school and whatnot, and to now where I'm on the east side, where I've got a house on 94 in Gratiot, and then also here in Warren.
That's pretty cool. How you like living on the east side, man? Migrating from Westland all the way to the city again.
You know, I enjoy it, man. Detroit is on the rise. I definitely see a lot of people taking pride in their community. You see a lot of gardens from a lot of the houses that were vacated and torn down. People are doing neighborhood grows, like, you know, where they're growing tomatoes and watermelons and flowers, and it's just real cool to see a lot of that stuff coming together. Building a lot of businesses. If you're on the Gratiot area, see a lot of auto mechanic shops, car washes, detailing. You know, a lot more of the restaurants and grocery stores coming together. So it's a real good time, man. I used to have that negative connotation on the east side, like, you know, from what the west side, you know, kind of conditioned us to look at it like. But as far as what I've seen over here, much love, a lot of people down to earth, and a lot of people just want to, you know, the American dream, you know, and get it how they can, you know, and make do with best what they have and build that to build more.
For sure. For sure. Um, and you said you're a business owner yourself. What kind of business do you do?
So primarily, I run a construction company where we offer concrete, flooring, painting, and roofing services. Um, I was part of the roofing union for some years. And it definitely was a great stepping stone into this endeavor on my own. I think I just kind of got to that threshold of going from my late 20s to my early 30s, and I'm just like, something's got to give, you know. And I'm not taking nothing from it, but it was a lot of me making my maximized profit from going out of state with me, but being also a father. It was like that wasn't too much of an option because I'd spent a lot of time away from my daughters, uh, and I thought that they deserved more than me just going out and making money, but actually spending quality time with them and building memories and creating memories with them. So I thought my best option was to make a lane for myself. You know, I thought I know I got the know-how, I've got the grit, I've got that determination, I got the people skills. I've done lots of work just for, you know, just did service, a lot of different services for others, just because I could, and I definitely gave grace, glory to my higher power that allowed me to switch that gear. You know, not everything's about money all the time. It's about just doing the next right thing and helping those that you can, being of use. And that definitely instilled in me, like, you know what, I can go bid these jobs. I can
Right.
go do great quality work for these customers and gain.
Sure.
And yeah, it's been nothing but, obviously I'm a small business, so it's still a lot of the executive work that I got work on, constantly working on media, website, designing logo, writing contracts, keeping receipts, getting into my first year doing my taxes for my business. Um, but yeah, man, it's definitely been something I advise for anybody anybody can do it at any given time. I mean, I don't care if you got a snow shovel and you're just going door to door offering your services to shovel someone's snow. That's a business. You're going out there to collect the money. You put a name on it. You can go do it. And
Sure.
definitely, if anything, I want to inspire the others out there in the world that you can go make a way for yourself.
Right. Um, how did you feel when you had did your first job?
I felt so accomplished. I felt so hopeful that there was so much promising greatness. Like, wow, I did this. Look at this work. My first job that I did, I guess, would have been a landscaping job. I did some mulch and I did some hedging. And it was a couple little tools I already acquired from just, I don't know, just being in the shed, being in the garage at the time. And I went out there, talked to the customer. The customer told me exactly what they wanted. I wrote it down in details, exactly what they wanted. Came out with a fair price. They agreed to it. I agreed to it, and went out there and made it work. And something I learned about myself, and this is through working for others, and to the point where I became my own entrepreneur, was that you're gonna do it, give it your best. And so a lot of times I'm my biggest critic. So a lot of times customers to this day now would tell me like, that's fine. It looks great. You're hard on yourself. And I'm like trying to get this perfection just because I know I can do it. But that first accomplishment felt really good. And that was the start of the first 5-star review. And they led me to they forwarded my information to their sister. I started doing work for the sister. And it wasn't all landscaping or all that next job I ended up doing was building a shed. I built the shed up for someone, and she had ordered it from like Amazon like that, and I built that up. And I just felt like this was the way to go. I felt like everything, all the gears were clicking for me.
For sure. And going back to like you said, your first job, was you nervous?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought that there was I think I was fear induced, in the back of my head, like something might go wrong. What if I cut them too low? What if they come out here like, oh, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing? There was a couple different things that came through my head, but I just shook it and I just kept on thinking to myself, like, as long as you give it your best, you can't walk around, you can't walk out of this with your head down, um, and I did, and they were happy and they were ecstatic, and that right there just proved to me like I can do this.
For sure. And do you work with any family?
So at the moment, I don't work with any of my family. So in my household growing up, it was two sisters and a little brother, and I'm the oldest. And then I have two other brothers. I got two other siblings also that are older, but it seemed as if things weren't clicking the line for the family and I to all work together. Um, once the business is to flourish to a level where I'm in need of a secretary, I definitely got my sister right first in line, available as long as the work's consistent for her and makes sense, because she's got my nieces and nephews. So, I definitely don't hold any ill will, like, oh, everybody's not supporting my business the way I want them to. It's, realistically, um, people have to provide for themselves, and being a small business, I haven't reached that point to where I'm able to have consistent work for a secretary, or my little brother, he does he does work out at the hospital out in Ann Arbor.
Right.
Got pretty consistent hours, good pay, and it's like, especially at the season where I'm at right now, where I'm getting 1 or 2 estimates a week, it can make it a little bit skittish for a person, when they're not the one driving the vehicle of the business. I know it's
Sure.
coming. I know what's coming of it, but others that aren't so involved with what I'm doing doesn't always see it like that. So they got to do what's best for them. But yeah, to answer your question, no, as of right now, none of my family actually works for me, but they're all supportive.
If you don't mind, touch on that a little bit. What was it like growing up with the siblings, and was your dad present?
So I grew up with my mother, my single mother, and she had, like I said, me, my 2 sisters, and my little brother. We grew up in poverty. When it comes down to is we grew up in poverty. We bounced around a lot. When I count how many times I moved in the time of from being born to 18 years old, I had counted at 13 times. The house that I can remember. I was on Bentler and Brightmoor. At the Monica and Davidson house, I was so young. I moved out of there by 2 years old, so I was more like mother pointed out, like, that's where that's where you were born. That's where we brought you from the hospital. My father was in prison for involuntary manslaughter, and then got himself down to a level 1. And in the early 90s, the level 1s were like unsecure. And at some point, he broke out. And while he broke out, he met up with my mom, and they had they hooked up. And 9 months later, I came home, and he was already reincarcerated because he was only out for like 40, 50 days.
Right.
Broke out, and they caught him in Detroit and brought him back. And I actually ended up going to that same prison down the road, which was Bellamy Creek, level 1. But growing up, so I'm growing up with a single mother. I got 2 younger sisters and a younger brother. We moved around a lot. At some point, my mother had gotten to addiction, and we had to go to the Salvation Army in Detroit on West Grand Boulevard and Martin Luther King. And my mom was going through a 6 to 9 month program. And during that time, my sisters and my little brother's father was in the picture. He was my stepfather, but he also was doing drugs, and so he was always in and out of jail, and in and out of in programs and stuff like that. So my mom had went to this Salvation Army, and they had us there, and then she ended up relapsing. So she lost custody of us, and my stepfather, his grandparents, so my great grandmother, took me and my sisters in, and they raised us from I was in 4th grade until about 6th grade. And so my great grandmother and a lot of my stepfather's family was Jehovah's Witnesses. So they were really struck on service, going to church, going out, knocking at the doors, evangelizing, and
Right.
spreading the word of God. And at the time, I didn't really care to do any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I just knew that my grandma was in a clean environment. She was living clean. She had things for herself going on that I'd never really seen before. She had been living in the same condo for like 20 something years. And I remember like we'd go out to Oklahoma City to see some of my family out there. And now mind you, this is not my blood, but they raised me like I'm their blood,
Right.
This is my great grandmother, calls me to this day, calls my family, my daughters, and just so anyway. So I would see that as like unconditional love. So I always, even though I'm in the podcast and I'm doing this interview and I'm talking about that's my stepfather, I always looked at him as my real father. My father really didn't really have a real relationship with me. Even after he did get out, he got out when I was like 11, 12 years old. And we tried to make a relationship, but by this time I'm running through the streets of Westland, which is this little neighborhood called Shacktown, which was like the little projects of Westland. And I was all about my friends and, you know what I mean, being in the neighborhood, hanging out.
Yeah.
I really didn't make time for him. And I think that he took that as a slight that he really didn't want to deal with. So he just like, well, he'll come around when he's ready to come around.
Sure.
And moving back to where I was at 6th grade, so my mother ended up getting her stuff together, doing the drug screening, and going through the courts, and ended up getting awarded us back. So she got all 4 of us back, which my grandmother, she lived in Belleville. So I go from Belleville, which most of my friends in the neighborhood were all, you know, come to find out they all went to the Marines or all getting married and all these things. I ended up having a different path to go. So I Westland and come to this neighborhood Shacktown, and we're in this duplex. So there's 5 of us. At this point, my stepfather's starting to try to come back to the house, but he's still getting high and stuff, and my mom's not having it. She's like, you got to go, you can't be here, XYZ. You know, at the time, I didn't really realize that. I never even knew my mother was getting high until I was an adult. I thought she just had a drinking problem. So as far as like me seeing those things, I guess I didn't really pay attention to it. But that was something that I guess runs in my bloodline. You know what I mean? Something I had to deal with, seeing that. But my mom ended up putting her foot down. She had a recovery going. She said that her and him cannot be together no more. That she was about her kids. Well, she ended up doing that for a little bit of time. You know, she, I think my 6th grade year, we were basically just us. And at that point in time, I'm starting to get a little hair on my chest. I'm calling the shots. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm staying out.
Were you considered the man of the house at that point?
At that point, I was.
And how was that for you?
That
What
was.
age was this again?
So this would have been around 12 years old. You know, I was still, but I was my mother's firstborn. You know, and I'm the male of the house, and that became the normality for me. Well, that was short lived because my mother ended up getting in a relationship with somebody about my 6th grade going to 7th grade year. Now this dude here was you know, he was hard. Like, he thought he was just done 16 years in the joint. He came home. He reminded me of Vin Rhames in Baby Boy.
Yeah, Baby Boy. Yeah. So that was your life for
that was the energy I had from him. And a lot of my old friends, you know what I mean, I talked to, they joke about it, you know, because it was funny because he'd be the type, like, they'd be like, he's in there, Deuce, go get the belt. You know what I mean? Like, just talking, you know, just talking mess a little bit, playing around, but that was how he was. You know, he just kind of tried to rule with an iron fist all the time. And I put up with that for some years, you know what I mean? Like, I was real angry. I always had anger management classes from, like, I remember the as far as I can think back was like in 4th grade, carried in 5th grade, and then in 6th grade. And I believe I stopped for a minute, but it ended up revisiting again down the road.
Okay.
But so he came in the picture. Now he was on parole, and he was a dope dealer. So, you know, he was making money fast. But on top of being a dope dealer, he also had like another front of like getting his real estate license, and he ended up doing that. He worked for Keller Williams. So I think when I was growing up, I seen the men of my life at this point now have been a killer, a dope dealer, a drug addict, and a that had a front as doing other things like professional work.
The last word you had used to describe, could you say it again?
As a front?
No, you had said you said a killer, dope dealer, and what was the last two?
Basically a drug user.
Okay, a drug addict, and then what was the last one?
That was so it went killer, drug addict, and then hustler.
Oh, okay, hustler. That's what the word was. It had kind of broke up. That's why I had asked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
So
you had kind of acquired a lot from all of these men, and then whether it was something that you wanted to be or something that you knew you didn't want to be, you kind of found your path that way, right?
absolutely,
I
yeah.
see.
But see, I still had a lot of learning and growing to do. Um, so he came in the picture. Let's see, around sixth going to seventh grade. By the time the end of 10th grade comes around, I'm doing my first bit in the juvenile system. Shout out to GrowthWorks.
How old was you when this happened?
So I was about 16. So when about 4 years goes by, and I'm about 16 years old. I go through the Wayne County Juvenile Department, and this is for a domestic violence against my mother's boyfriend. So at this
Mm,
point in time, I was partying a lot, using drugs, drinking a lot, smoking weed,
yeah.
uh, hanging out, hooking up with girls, um, stealing. I was being, I was in the criminal lifestyle. Um, you name it. And
Right.
I ended up coming home from a party, inebriated, completely drunk out of it, blacked out. Um, and I tried to come through come through the back door. And as I did, he came to open the door. He pushed me back outside. And so when he pushed me back outside, I tried to walk through him to come through the back through the door, and he pushes me again. So I just punched him in his face, punched him right in his face. So I punched him, and then he stormed out the door and did like a choke around my throat. It has me pinned up on the ground. Now at this point, I'm probably like a buck 35, and he's every bit of 250.
Wow.
Big fella. Um, so I tried to get him in a little triangle choke. That ain't really work out. My younger sister ends up coming outside and putting him in a headlock, like get off my brother. Shout out Maltese. and
Yeah.
uh, and that was that. They separated us, and then my neighbor came and got me and put me in the car and tried to take off. Westland police ended up pulling up, getting me out of the car, bringing me back to the house. My mother's like, he's drunk, da da da. She must have told him like, let him go, take him downtown or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then
How old was you when this happened? You said 16?
I was 16. Yeah. So at
Yeah.
16, I'm waking up in the JDF drunk tank. Um, I'm in there with a cat from Joy Road, and I'm in there with a cat from 7 Mile, and we all talking uh, just about what's going on. And I'm the only one that's not living in the city at this point, and I'm the only one that's kind of lighter than everybody else. And
Right.
we was kind of kicking it, and one of the cat from 7 Mile ended up getting released. So me and Joy Road end up making a pact, like we got each other when we get on this rock. Um, so we went on the rock, and that's what we did. We had each other's back. Um, he had like street beef with like Schoolcraft and little small gangs back then. Um, and I remember not really being too hip to everything that was going on. Like I'd be playing spades with kids that were affiliated with the Schoolcraft kid, and my dog from Joy Road be like, Deuce, what you on, man? Like, you hanging out with dog hang with him, bro. Like that's not a good look. Da, da, da. So this was like me getting schooled, I guess, in like how the etiquette of like this ain't high school no more. But it kind of seemed like high school, I guess, too, in that sense of matter. But it was a little bit deeper than that for sure now.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you know, uh, so I tightened up on that. Like, you know what I mean? Just me and you, we rocking together with our squad and who we kick it with, and that's that. Um, so I ended up going through JDF, and they ended up sentencing me to going to a 3 month program. Uh, And it's at this point now and I'm the only one from my rock that goes to this program, which was a Western Wayne County program. Basically, they didn't send a whole lot of people there, but it was all the way up in Vassar, Michigan, which was like 2 hours away. Somehow, this whole agency knew everything about me. They had said that they've been hearing about my name since I was about 13 years old. Like that they thought it was weird that it waited this long for me to get caught up. So GrowthWorks is telling me like all about all these different fights, telling me about all these different like thievery missions and stuff that I was involved with. Uh,
Wow.
and they just I'm in there trying to play my little role, like, I'm not that bad of a guy. I'm just here to do my program and get back home to my family. They wasn't having none of that. They was like, we know you're a monster, we know who you are. uh,
Ah,
you're
they called you a monster, bro.
bro. They was making it seem like I was notorious, like,
Man,
yes.
well, when you think about it,
I mean, yeah, I guess when you think about it, I mean, I did have some ways that yeah, they were not everything I'm proud of. Definitely, I would never change what I've gone through in life.
they was hip.
But they was definitely hip.
They had your number.
Yeah,
Would you say that a few people that you used to hang out with maybe had something to do with them knowing who you was and stuff you was off into because they probably had got caught before you did?
absolutely. So,
Sure.
they you got to remember so many of the kids that got caught with weed or got caught with pills or got caught drinking at parties. Anytime they get caught up, a lot of times they forward them to this juvenile program. Whether they're doing inpatient,
Yeah, GrowthWorks was real notorious out here.
yeah, or whether they're doing outpatient. So anytime, who did you get your weed from? Who were you partying with? Who were you drinking with? My name got thrown around like a dang on flyer. Like, yeah, bro, like
For
we're doing
sure.
photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember going to GrowthWorks myself. This is a crazy, crazy experience. They ask all these questions about, like you saying, who you party with, your friends and your friend group and the stuff you did and how often you did it. And they basically tallied up your actions to determine whether you were going to be in intensive or, pretty much regular basic treatment. And I'll never forget, I was doing my intake and it was me. And I don't know why, for some reason, I was in the group with a lot of females. Like I had, like at this point in time, there was a lot of girls inside of my group that I was in. And while we was doing our intake, like I wasn't lying, but when we first started, I was withholding a lot of information. I just wasn't talking much. I wasn't participating a lot. And then, like the first couple days, it was just me and a couple guys. All of them was from the city, so I really was trying to keep my profile real low.
Mm-hmm.
Then the girls started rolling in. You know how they like bad boys and the type of females that was in there. Of course, if they in there, they did bad shit too. So I'm trying to look cool, now I'm telling all of the truth. I'm even putting a little bit of extra on there. And they had documented everything that I was saying, of course, right?
Right.
You remember at the end of GrowthWorks when they make you tell everything that you told them to your parents?
Hmm. Intervention, I think it was called.
The intervention for you to do completion. Man, when they had told me I had to tell my mama all of the stuff I told them, I was like, we can do this as many times as y'all want to. I probably never go complete because if I tell her the truth, I will never leave the house again.
Right. You
And
ain't lying.
they sure enough got the truth up out of me, man. My mama was crying and everything in that room in that intervention. I felt so bad. And that was kind of like an eye opening experience, but it still didn't turn me and defer me from what I was doing. But back to you. I just thought that was funny because you don't think about it when you talking and saying the stuff, but then when they tell you that you got to complete and then come clean about it with your family,
Right.
it's a totally different situation.
No, it definitely was Yeah, exactly. The words come back to haunt you too, for sure.
for sure. And
Uh,
I was, I had I had a guilty conscience. You know, that was why I really, a lot of stuff didn't work for me in that area of my life. You know what I'm saying? I used to feel bad about a lot of stuff, and then I had remorse. You know, a lot of remorse. I feel bad about stuff, and then I want to come clean about it. But after you do it, you did it. So you know, it ain't nothing gangster about that.
oh.
But go ahead, continue, man.
Um, so I ended up getting out of there, out of the program. I ended up going to a sober, independent living situation out in Ypsilanti.
And
Um,
how old was you when you had finished and completed growth works?
so I was 17, about 4 months until I was about to be 18.
So you was in a position to where you could have got into the home and the funding and the assistance that come with rehabilitation, but not only rehabilitation, just you know, becoming of age. Because I don't know if it was your situation or not, but most of the time your parents don't want you to come home after you done did all of that kind of stuff.
Right, much like my own. So my mother didn't want. She actually called GrowthWorks and told them about me having 50 people come to my house. So I stayed on Dayton Court, right across
Wow.
right across the street from high school. Um,
Did you
and
go to Wayne?
I went to Wayne. Yep.
Okay.
So I went to Wayne Memorial up until they didn't want me back, and then I'm going to Tinkham. And then that was right before I went to juvenile. But
So you didn't make it to 11th grade in Wayne.
nope,
Wow.
nope. So
Did you go to prom?
I did not. I went.
Wow.
Closest thing I went to was our military ball, and I believe I went to homecoming my freshman and sophomore years.
Man,
Yeah.
continue.
So mom came home on a home visit from the program, and I had all these people showing up, popping,
Wow.
showing love. Happy to see me home. There's people that had animosity towards me before I went in, was just happy to see me when I got out. Uh, and I stayed that weekend at the crib, but and hung with the family. But I did allow everybody to come back, and my mom was just dumbfounded. Like, I'm worried about my son coming back home. He's got all these people showing up. You know,
Basically influencing you to still live the same life you was living before.
yeah, because you go that long without seeing so many people, and then you see everybody. You get them old emotions come back, that excitement, the memories, and people
Yeah.
expectations at that point in time. Like, oh, Deuce is back. All that. There's people still to this day, man. I tell you, like, oh, my boy Deuce over. He ain't gonna let that shit. He ain't gonna let this slide. You know what I mean?
Right.
As soon as he's with me, he's gonna be jumping off about some stuff.
Right.
And it was 10 times worse at 16, 17 years old. So
You
yeah,
basically had people running to you as if you were Superman. Deuce, I got this problem going on. So and so said this. We got
yeah,
to go deal with them. And
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah,
So my mom had told the growth works that they thought it was best I get up out of Westland. So um, I ended up agreeing to it because I got my GD while I was in growth works. I mean, really, I had no say so. Regardless, it was either stay there or stay in the program or.
yeah, or go to jail if you don't complete and do as recommended. You going to jail.
So I ended up going out to Washtenaw County, and as soon as I got out with 17 with a GD, my graduating class hadn't even graduated yet. I got enrolled at Washtenaw Community College. I was on my way to go do that. I had got a job at a Save-A-Lot as a cashier, basically scanning everybody's food and basically telling them boxes are over there. You can bag it up like that. It's pretty
Right.
easy. But I think around this time there was that fake synthetic weed known as K2,
Yeah.
and that was a way that we could get high without failing a drug test. So,
Right.
truth be told, I was indulging in that, and then once I started indulging in that, it made it easy for me to go hang out with my old friends right down Michigan Ave.
Yeah.
and still partake in hanging out. I just put my stuff in this little blunt wrap with the, you know what I mean? I'll smoke my stuff while y'all smoke y'all stuff.
Right. Still get a little buzz, still be able to interact,
Yeah.
still sociably accepted.
Mm-hmm. So I did that for a minute, and sure enough, man, I started falling right back into my old habits. I ended up going to the mall out there in Ann Arbor, and I didn't even need to do this, but I'm in there stealing some damn earrings, throwing some earrings in my ear. Uh,
Wow.
and I did that out there, and they had them secret shopper catch me up. Like, you know, you got some earrings you took, you gotta come with me. So I'm like acting like I'm walking with them. I start out the door. You know, I start hitting the block. I hit the parking lot. They out there like SWAT, like pulling up in these SUVs on the walkie-talkies, dudes on the Segway, and they just come. Yeah, they come. They end up getting me on the parking lot. I made it all the way to the end of the parking lot. I got to like the grass area of like this PNC bank. I remember, and then some big light-skinned freaking security guard got me, and then you're like, yeah, you thought you were gonna get away, huh? Blah blah blah. You just turned this into something way worse. And yeah, and getting the police called. Police ended up coming out there. They ended up giving me a citation, picked me up from the mall, and dropped me off randomly at like not too far from my house, from my 3/4 house I was staying at.
Yeah.
Contact the court or contact the court because their police department was something was getting remodeled, and they didn't have time for some petty ass misdemeanor at the time. So I got off on like no trouble. So I didn't tell my probation or nothing, which really didn't matter because within like another month, I ended up committing a home invasion with a buddy of mine and getting caught up on it.
Man,
Yeah,
you were still on probation?
I was. I actually had just got discharged.
Wow.
I just got discharged. I got discharged basically because they thought I wasn't gonna get right because I ended up failing for real weed at my 3/4 house. So I kind of skipped that part. So yeah, after the earring thing, I ended up smoking real weed, thinking I was gonna get away with it. Tried to use some fake pee, but the pee was cold, so they were like, this ain't your real pee." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Yes, it is." And it's like, "Well, it's negative 60 degrees. You'd be dead if this was yours. So this is a failed drug test." And they contacted
Wow.
GrowthWorks, and GrowthWorks was like, "We're setting up a court date." I end up leaving the 3/4 house. I got kicked out of the 3/4 house. Went and stayed with one of my buddies out in Westland, and um, waited for my court date. Decided to turn myself in on it and just get it over with. Um, and by the next month, I ended up getting a home invasion, getting charged for it. End up getting sentenced to prison. Now this time I'm going to the Homes Youthful Training Act. They had a prison for that. It was called Thumbs Correctional Facility. So what they did was they allowed you to go do the time, and then it would be cleared off your record once you did the time. Which they also did something like that. You could do probation and all this and all that, but they didn't allow me to do probation. They allowed me to just do the time, and I could be done and over. So that was my first sentence, and that was 7 months. And I went in there, and I was kind of basically already kind of familiar with it because I just left juvenile, so I already
Right.
knew
So how long was you free before you was back? So between juvenile and then going to prison, well, going to thumbs.
It was 4 months.
Man,
Yeah.
go ahead, continue.
So 4 months goes by. I'm back and I'm doing prison. I'm doing 7 months. Um, I end up getting in fights with different generals and heads of different organizations. I only got into 2 fights while I was there, but and I never got down with anybody, like as far as claiming a set and all that. I was always just kind of like me. I was just always me. And real ones fucked with me, other ones that didn't, couldn't really mess with me, is the way I looked at it.
Right.
I always kept a good spirit, you know what I mean? So I always give glory to God about the grace He always showed me. Because, there's a lot of guys that don't make it out with all their digits or all their teeth, or, you know what I mean, or some real traumatic stuff happening to them. By the
Or
grace,
just not making it out
or,
without being themselves. You know
or
what I'm saying?
or
A lot
that,
of people go in and they do start claiming and banging.
yeah, yeah,
But for
exactly.
you to make it out and then still be yourself, stand up, that say a lot about you for sure.
My man, appreciate that. Yeah, man, and yeah, there was times when it got dark. There was times when it got it got sketchy and stuff for me. When especially like I said, I got into fights with the first one there was some street beef I had. Dog was he was down with one set, and he had beef with me from some Shack Town stuff, but he was out in the neighborhood and he knew I had fought with some people that he messed with. So like he's trying to get, and he had already been there for like a year, so he's trying to tell people like, you know, pop that dog, blah blah blah, and everybody like who Deuce? They was calling me Westland too, like who him? Like, no, he cool, man. They're like, nah, he ain't. And they're like, what's up? I'm like, what up? And they're like, nah, what up? And I'm like, oh, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Right, literally.
Yeah. So, I remember that being a thing, and that kind of that was like that was like a Cold War for like 3 weeks because we were in two different units. Yeah.
Right. But when
And
y'all seen each other, the tension was there.
yeah,
It was a little thick. Yeah.
where I'm getting words from his peoples and stuff like that. And so at one day, I remember I was on the yard and he said some slick stuff, and then he's with this whole clique, about 20 deep, and I'm playing basketball, I'm hooping and whatnot, and he said slick stuff, and I just like I already had it up, you know what I mean? I already had overload and like I'm, I ended up throwing the ball at the ground like, what's up? Meet me at the blind spot.
Yeah.
Went over there and mopped him up real quick, and none of his people came. They were like, shit,
Mm.
but it's Deuce by himself. He ain't affiliated. Go handle that. So as soon as I seen that happen, I was like, green light. You know what I mean?
I'm about to whoop his ass.
For real. Like I felt like as soon as I got that response from like the whole situation, I felt like Mega Man just leveled up. Like, oh yeah, it's going down for sure.
Hell yeah. You know you weren't about to get jumped. It's a prayer one-on-one. You like, I'm about to act a
Yeah.
fool.
And then that's how it went. So my first prison fight, well, you know what I mean, worked out in my favor. Now I'm getting a little bit of clout. Kind of went to my head a little bit. I remember the opposite set was kind of coming at me like, dude, you should get down with us. Da da da.
Yeah, fuck with us, cause yeah, right.
Yeah, you move, bro. That you know what I mean. And I'm just like, hey, no disrespect. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm almost on my way out. I'm almost on my way up out of here. Uh, you know what I mean. I'm just doing my little workouts, getting myself situated, and I'm
Yeah.
going. And so everybody respected it. Everybody was cool with it, and you know what I mean. I ended up making it out of there in the middle of summer. So, but I ended up getting in another fight. So that first fight was the first fight. The second fight was right before I was about to get sent home. I ended up leaving the joint from the hole.
Wow.
Yep, it's crazy. Yeah, they let me out because I had a flat time. So I had 7 months flat no matter what. Like I didn't have to go see the board, I didn't have to go see my judge again. I didn't have to know probation when I got out. It was literally 7 months. This was off your record. Gone with it. So the other
If you
fight,
don't mind, if you don't mind talking about it, what was the whole like?
the whole man was four walls and a door with a little slot for them to feed you a tray. No dessert. You get apples or bananas, and that was it. It's healthy stuff, I guess. I did a lot of
So
writing.
it's kind of like that, kind of basically like that visual that you see on Get Rich or Die Trying when they tried to give him the razor blade to kill himself.
Yeah, very much like that. Very,
Right. Okay. Because I was seeing a lot of those. You get a lot of movies where they relate to it, and I never been to prison,
mm-hmm.
so I don't know. And I always was curious about the whole and how that actually was because a lot of my guys they tell me like, yeah, bro, you notice when them calls and stuff stop coming, letters don't be coming back. You be like, where bro at? He ain't popped at me in a minute. I ain't heard from him in a while. And then you get on the phone with him a couple months that went by. He's like, yeah, I was in the hole.
Yeah, exactly like that. And then they let you out for a phone call once a week, for like 30 minutes. You make whatever calls you're going to make. A lot of times you're catching up with your OGs and, you know what I mean? If you got a girl, checking on them and, you know, um, yeah, that is not. I'd love to say it was popping. You should have been there, but it absolutely was
Yeah. So it's so it's really like you locked up for real, locked up. No TV,
no TV, no radio,
Windows.
no radios. Though I did have a CO
No,
that.
I'm saying Windows.
Oh yeah, there was a window, so you could see out the window.
Okay.
You can call, you can talk out the window, but a lot of times you get in trouble for that. So
Damn.
I wasn't trying to look for more trouble on top of already being in trouble on top of already being in trouble.
Man, because yeah, that's a lot of trouble.
Right.
How long was your longest stretch in the hole?
33 days, I think. Little,
Man,
little
what
over.
was going through your head in there?
I mean, at that point in time, since I was on my way out, I just knew I was going home, and I just kept on praying, like I hope everything works out. Like I don't get
Come here.
no warrant that pops up at the last minute. You know what I mean? Or the judge like change his mind, like I'm gonna change his sentence. But I knew that wasn't gonna happen. Really, I was satisfied. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm about to continue doing my push-ups in here. I had like 15 types of different push-ups. I was doing the Spider-Mans, the Dolphins,
Wow.
I was doing the Bruce Lee push-ups. I was doing staggered push-ups, one hand high, one hand low, switching it up.
Yeah.
I was doing all that, doing body squats. I should definitely been doing my legs a lot more because when I tell you when I got out, bro, I was pale and I was top heavy. Like my legs were skinny.
Right.
My chest was all big. But I had a welcome home party. A lot of people came through. Me and my oldest daughter's mom lived together. So she helped orchestrate like a coming home party at the beach. Um, a lot of my friends was there. My family was all there. It was a surprise to me. I didn't even know that was happening. So when I walked out of the prison doors, I had my little plastic bag over my shoulder. I just changed out my state blues into my regular clothes. I see my mom and I see my sister, one of my sisters. And as soon as I hit the corner, my homeboy pops over the shoulder, like hits me in my arm, like I almost blush. I almost hit him in his face. I almost hit him.
For sure.
It's my boy Chris, and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I'm all shocked and surprised, all happy to see him. And then he was like, bro, we gonna keep you out of trouble, man. Like you ain't about to be doing the same old stuff. So yeah, we ended up going to the beach. I don't know that they're all orchestrating this big old party for me because I'm just thinking it's the family, we about to have some fun, getting some water. I'm just now being able to see outside again entirely.
Right.
So it was cool though. I mean, it was a real good turnout, but it was very short lived about me trying to do the right thing because I don't even think a whole week went past and I was back to hang. I had no probation, no parole, and I was right back going to parties. I was right back smoking and drinking. Right back going down the same spiraling hole that led me down so many times before. And Cam, I mean, and I can keep on going on and on about it because I'm not gonna lie. I would like to say that was my one and only turnaround or juvenile prison changed me, but it didn't. I still had a lot more head bumps after that. At this point, I'm about 19 years old, and I done went to the joint at this point in my life. Right now, at 32 years old, I've already done 6.5 years of back and forth time behind bars.
Man. What was it? What was it that had gave you the like enough is enough? Like, all right, I'm done with this shit. I'm ready to do right. I'm ready to live for me instead of living for them.
So, and I'm glad you brought it up because that's exactly what it came down to. I would love to have said it was for my daughters. I would have loved to say I changed for my oldest daughter. I would have loved to say I changed for my youngest daughter. Would have loved to change from my mother that spent, my money on miles to come visit me from whether I was in Lapeer, Michigan, to Bellamy Creek, to Jackson, but none of that did. It wasn't until little over a year and a half ago that I really kicked things into gear. Like I'd say about the last 2 years. Last 2 years, I started really making some changes. Um, I got out of my old stomping ground. Um, I started making decisions like, okay, I'm gonna look at my future. And I think I tried every little variation that I could to try to like get myself together. I started trying to go to church when I stayed in West. I'm gonna say Westland was where I was staying. I started going to church. I started like not hanging out with everybody all the time, but it wasn't none of that for me. For me, it was my distorted thinking, and a lot of my distorted thinking became from the substances I was involved with. Um,
If you don't mind, elaborate on distorted thinking. What's
so,
your definition and then the real definition?
so distorted thinking was um, my distorted thinking. Let me invest my money into something that's illegal to have, to go ahead and make a profit to it, to ruin somebody else's life because this is not good for you.
Right.
This is not conducive to your health. This ain't helping you put yourself in a whole type of better situation. But let me go ahead and invest this money into this so I can have it, so I can go ahead and revalue it to what I feel like it's worth to you for more of a price.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So now I'm doing,
100%.
you know what I mean? So it's like that was distorted thinking. It came into a point. I'm gonna tell you the story right now. So it came to a point like I was down to staying on a floor at a trailer at my family's place, and I remember just thinking to myself like, "Is this all? Is this it? You know what I mean? Is anything? Am I
Man.
gonna make anything of myself?"
How old was you when this happened? When you
I,
had this?
I was, I would say, I was about 30 years old. I was 30 years old.
Right.
30 years old. Like I said, I made some changes before this point, but
Yeah.
the real like the real effective choice that I made was to put down drugs and alcohol, and that's what it came down to for me.
How long ago was that when you said you was done with it and you was like, I'm through, I'm finished. Like it wasn't you trying and struggling with it. How long has this been since you've been all the way clean and sober?
So I just officially had my 18 months on Tuesday, Tuesday night. Not last night, but the night before that, I have officially had 18 months of no drugs, no alcohol whatsoever in my system.
How long have you been trying to get sober? So
Whew.
how long was the journey of you? All right, I'm gonna try. Well, not I'm gonna try. All right, I'm done, and then you go back, and then I'm done, and then I'm gonna go back.
I'm gonna tell
Uh,
you, like my discipline and self will wasn't that strong, but I'd say most of my life, every time I got in trouble, I always said it. I always said, I'm not gonna drink no more. I'm not gonna get high no more. I'm not gonna hang out with these people no more. I'm not gonna do that no more. But as far as where this 18 months, little prior to that, that I actually started making real effective choices to really stick it out.
right.
You know what I mean? So I think May of 2023 is when I walked into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
Yeah.
One of my friends that are now passed away, rest in heaven, Antonio Mosheri, he had got a dope charge and he was calling me from rehab. And I met him through a mutual friend of mine that I had as a co-defendant. One of my co-defendants in the past was cool with this guy, and he told him like, "Hey, you remind me of my boy Deuce. You should hit him up." And he stayed out in Sterling Heights, which is also out here on the east side. Um,
Right.
so he messaged me on Facebook years ago. We stayed Facebook friends for a minute. Then I ended up moving out to the east side, and something made me think about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm out here. Let me hit up bro. you know what I mean, and see what's up.
Yeah.
So I hit him up, and then we started to build a report with each other. And one day, because he had my direct line at this point, um, he had caught a case, doing the hustle and bustle, got
Yep.
caught, turned himself into rehab so he can get the charge minimized.
100%.
While I was in there, he's calling me, telling me like, man, you should really look into the recovery, man. I know you're a spiritual person. I'm starting to get a little bit understanding of God, and uh, I feel like you can make I know you're about business. We could open a 3-quarter. I was just telling me all these great ideas, but really just trying to get me to just get on board about the recovery aspect.
100%.
Uh, this is my lovely Elena, my 12-year-old. Her birthday just passed. She's going home to her mother. Love you, sweetie. You too. Want to say hi?
Hello.
Can you see me right now?
I don't think it's showing your side.
Okay, how about I got you on a solo layout right now because I wanted you to have the undivided floor, but what about now?
Yep, I can see you.
Hey, how you doing, gorgeous?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing real good. Just interviewing your dad. He's a very special and important person in my life, and I felt like the world should know who he is as well.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
You're very blessed to have him as your father. I hope you enjoyed your time with him today.
I did. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Got her room. We're gonna get her room all together. Mm-hmm. Well, I love you, sweetheart. I'm gonna finish my interview and I will give you a call in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
See you, sweetheart.
See you soon.
Love to see it, man.
Thanks, bro.
Love to see it.
Love to have it. You know?
Definitely do something to the soul and it do something to your purpose. You know, when you think about why you here on earth and why you do what you do, the decisions that you make, they definitely make a difference, man.
Exactly. They really do. You know?
I feel like it was my reason why. You know, and then it would make you feel good when they proud of you and they think you cool and the stuff you doing is cool. That
Exactly.
just make it so much better, you
Yeah.
know?
They see the taste it gives them a good big smile on their faces, and they're talking about you. She's had me like, Dad, flex for Snapchat.
Right.
Or take this picture. I want to send it to my friends. And then like wants me to be assistant coach for the football team. She's a cheerleader, so and just to be able to be a part of this system. You know what I mean? Like, despite all the prison stuff, like I had to do a lot of work before I got rights and being able to be in her life. A lot.
Right.
Maybe I should have talked about that a lot too, because that was a huge thing for any father out there that's gone through the hardships of a breakup and the family dynamic being split up. You know, it's very important for us to be there for our sons and daughters.
Definitely.
And I'm speaking as on the opposite spectrum. Definitely pro. I mean, I can't say how life would or would not have been without my father in my life, but I know that statistics show that children with their biological parents present in their life tend to be a lot more productive, and less likely to have infractions with the law, for the well-being. But yeah, the recovery came about. My boy had reached out to me while he was in rehab and was talking about it. And then when he got out, I went to go pick him up. We went to this park out here in Sterling Heights, and we jogged this nature trail walk. We did some push-ups and jumping jacks and burpees. So did some groundwork. And then I ended up talking to him to play basketball. There's some cats at the court hooping. So I didn't know if he could really hoop. He was like a Sicilian dude. And he was like, yeah, do something how to ball, bro. So we got out there, started working out, hooping. And my truck needed my brakes changed on it. And I told him I need to go do that. He was like, hey, we can do it at my grandpa's house. So I'm like, cool, all right. We ended up going over there. And then he invited me to come to a meeting with him that night, or if I could even drop him off. He's like, once we get your brakes done, do you mind dropping me off at the meeting? You should come. So I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, So that's what we did. But on my way out there to the meeting, I had left my debit card the night before at this bar. So I'm like, I need to go pick my debit card up. We go to the bar where my debit card is, and I go inside. I try to ask him if he wants to come in too. He's like, no, I'm just gonna chill in the truck. So I go inside to get my debit card. The bartender's all flirting with me. Then I turn around after that. After I got my card back, there's a party bus full of girls walking up in there. So I'm like, oh no! I go back to my truck, like, bro, we gotta go up in there, you
Right.
know. And he's like, no, Deuce, no, bro. You told me to take me to this meeting, man. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you can go for it. I need to go to this meeting. You said you'd do it. You can drop me off and you can come back if that's what you want to do. And I'm like, damn. I felt like I was being, that good and evil. I was being that evil right there. I was letting
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? You're right, bro. Let me get you over here. I was a little upset about it, annoyed about it, but at the end of the day, I did say I'll take him, and that's what I should be doing. By the time I got there, he hopped out the truck. He went inside. I was outside still, and I was just contemplating, like, man, should I go back to that bar? And I remember being at the in the parking lot, and there's like dudes in like motorcycles pulling up, like a motorcycle club, and then you got cats pulling up in the Tahoes with the doves on it. So I'm like, what kind of spot is this? You know what I mean? What's really going up in here? And it's a Friday night, and I'm like, what do I got to lose? You know what I mean? At least I can go check this place out, see what it is. So I go in there, and it's packed with people. It's packed with people, and I guess that was a Friday night thing. A lot of people showed up to the meetings, and a lot of people showed up on Fridays because it was a 10 o'clock at night meeting. So I went in. The table my boy was sitting at was fully packed. So I went and sat at this other table. And funny story, that's actually the first time I met my lady that I am with today. As of, we've been in a relationship for a little over 18 months.
So since you've been sober,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
real good, man. I like that.
Yeah. One of the best relationships I've ever been in. The best relationship I've ever been in.
And if you don't mind me asking, going into a little bit of detail, which I don't know, I try and stay away from personal life, but we here now. What's one of the strongest factors in your relationship? Like, what keeps it going? What keeps it strong?
I believe it is a realm of betterment. I mean, most importantly, having that foundation of God in our life is most important in that healthy communication, and openness, whether we're and the vulnerability too. The openness of trust, and share our hopes, our dreams, our doubts, our fears. That has made it, I think, a hell of a lot, 100 times better. Than any relationship I'm sure either one of us have been in. But also bringing to the table that betterment of ourselves, which comes with this program that I've started involving myself in, which is a 12-step program.
If you don't mind, explain the 12-step program.
So a 12-step program is basically, it starts from, um, we came to believe that we are powerless over power. We became to believe that we are powerless over addiction or alcohol, and we need the will of our higher power. Um, and it ends with, once you've gone through the steps, to pay it forward. Which, and thankfully for you, I'm able to share this on your platform to people that no matter where you started in life, there is a way out. At any moment, you can turn around from what you were doing and start going the other way. And that's that's what I want to share to anybody. Like, anybody that feels like they're down on their luck, that they've made such a mess of their life that they can't do anything. All you can do is repent, turn around, work through what you got. Came to believe in a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. It's something beyond yourself that the program teaches, and it's not my program. This is the program that I've been graced to be able to share in, and it's available to anybody that has the desire to stop using, to stop drinking, to stop using. Um,
Do you think that the only addictions out in the world are substance, like
Absolutely not.
alcohol, drugs? What are some other things you would consider being something you could be addicted to, other than the things that they have? I like to say promoted or broadcasted.
Well,
Like gambling and
yeah.
the main things, the originals.
So I do think that yeah, there's addictions. There's I mean then they I don't know if they broadcast it or not, but there's I want to 12 step for everything, but there's one called sex and love addiction. There's
Uh,
you can play sex and love, uh, which at a point in time, I'm sure I thought that was what my problem was. You know, oh,
was
I'm
it
so
sex or was it love or was it both?
sex and it's called SNL addiction or anonymous SNL anonymous. So it was sex and lust or sex and love anonymous, and basically it talks about um, if you constantly got to feel like you got to masturbate, or you got to constantly look at pornography, or if you got to constantly chase women down every single day or every weekend, that's what you look forward to. There's people out there that don't drink or smoke or do any of that stuff, but they are, fixated on women or fixated on whatever their sexual preference is. You know what I mean? There's
One of them I thought was big was food, and I don't think a lot of people acknowledge that. But I really think food could be an addiction.
absolutely anything that it pings your endorphins like that. Gaming's another one that they're talking about nowadays. Gaming, like you talked about gambling, uh,
Uh,
food, eating. Um, what else have I heard as far as addiction anonymous is? Or there's a lot. I mean,
what else? What did you struggle with most, if you don't mind sharing?
I believe that drinking and I feel like hustling was a huge one for me. I feel like anytime I felt like I could hustle, it opened up the doors to me using what I was hustling. Maybe not all the stuff I was hustling, but I would get to a point where I would do something of it. And then they call it a dealer's high, which is basically you're using the same stuff you're selling,
Right.
and then you got unlimited amount because you're basically using half and then selling half, and then you got your money back, and then you're able to keep on getting high and keep on hustling and
Makes
keeping.
sense. That was something that I had struggled with, um, because when I had started my businesses, I was really only dealing with my friends, and that was one of the reasons why I had stopped. That was like a big thing for me. I was just only dealing with my friends, and for one, I wasn't able to get a lot of money because the friends don't want to pay you. They'll
Right.
pay to a certain extent, but they don't really want to pay what you want, and that in itself is just a problem already. But
Yeah.
I
Backwards.
I started realizing what I was doing to the people that I cared about and that I loved, how their lives was being transformed, and it just changed my view on it. And I was really thinking to myself, was the money worth it? And it wasn't. Like it just really wasn't worth it at that point in time. Well, not at this point in time either. But before the end, I was thinking about how damaged I was and just where my head was and how I was able to make that decision and overlook these things. And now all of a sudden it's important to me. And I always wondered if anybody else felt like that or if it was something that they struggle with too. And I was more or less addicted to the act of hustling, everything that came with getting the money. I wasn't even obsessed with the money and actually having the money. it was the freedom that came with having the money. But I used to love everything that came with what I was doing. Literally the gas station runs, the whole nine, everything that came with it. It just gave me an adrenaline rush that I couldn't explain. It'd be days where I wasn't doing nothing, wasn't getting high off of anything, and I still was just, literally high off life. The life I was living, it just gave me something that I wasn't able to get nowhere else. And then the reaction that I used to get from people when they seen me coming always was, you know, overwhelming, if I could say, because of course you happy to see me, but I just like people. I like communicating. I like networking. So me seeing people and then them being happy to see me was just always addicting. And it took a lot for me to get away from that life. Like I really felt Mitch in the movie when he was like, "Man, if I leave the game, is the fans still gonna love me?" Because I thought about that myself. But I had to escape that mentality, man. And then I think a lot of people only do these things because they feel they don't have other options.
Yeah.
We blessed to know trades and other ways to make money, so it's not that serious to us. We don't really got to look at it and too much deal with the fear of not having because this is not our only source of income.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, because we chose to go find knowledge other in other realms because at some point we must have realized this can't be my only go-to.
For sure.
At some point we got to realize like I got to make something else work. And yeah, I get it. In the midst of trying to learn this over here, you're still holding on to what you've already known, which was my issue. Okay, I'm gonna start doing a little bit of construction work, but I still gonna keep my hustle going because
Yeah,
this is where I feel comfortable and I feel safe. And if
definitely.
jump all in over here, and then what? If this fails, then I lost all my contacts. Now they got all new people they're going to, and
Definitely.
bugs. I ain't got none of their numbers now because I told them I'm good on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That be the funniest part when you go through the emotions and you telling yourself, man, I'm done with this shit. I'm deleting numbers. I'm answering the phone and telling people, yeah, man, don't call me. I'm.
Yeah,
Then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh shit, I gotta call him.
yeah. They go back picking up all the pieces they dropped it threw away.
Yeah, man, I was just calling to see if you still needed me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm back around if you want it. Yeah.
Circling back, but
And it just get tiring too. You got to stop lying to yourself at a certain point because it's like at the end of the day, you only fooling you. These people, they know the truth. And then at the end of the day, they don't care about the truth.
right.
They just want what they want. And if you got it, they love you. If you don't, I'll see you when you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Very seldom is it people that's really there for you.
The creatures. A lot of us just act on what's self-serving. A lot of times, it's not until
Definitely.
really start to feed your soul and your spirit that you start to really take in that consideration. It's fine. It's okay to love yourself. I mean, going off the script a little bit, like onto like talking about the Bible, but it says what love your neighbor as you love yourself. So the only way I can truly love you is by loving myself. So, and this is what I had to come to a realization at a point in time. If I'm not going to do these drugs and alcohol, why would I be sitting there trying to sell it to you for you to do the drugs or alcohol?
Man, that's the crazy thing to think about.
That's really what I mean. That was really
Sure, yeah, yeah.
when I was throwing some drugs out. When I was like, I'm done with this stuff. I was on the phone with my lady,
Yeah,
and I was like, you know what? I might just sell it. And I was talking about selling it to my guys that I work with in the union. Like, I'll
man.
somebody down there probably use it because they all get it. If they're not
Right,
going to get somebody else, so I might as well get my money back for what I'm about to throw out the window.
right.
Like, you don't do it. Why would you give it to the next person to do it?
Exactly.
It's like, exactly. That's not being of God. That's not being of a higher self. That's not about the next man. That's not loving my neighbor as I love myself.
Literally.
That's me trying to just look out for me and fuck the other guy.
Definitely.
And that
And
ain't
I
that
was
ain't
thinking to myself that I had to stop doing that because I had it bad, bro. Like I literally had it bad. And then once I had got this conscious, like this awakening, I felt so horrible about the people who lives I did fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of people that never had did anything until they started hanging around me. And
Dang.
then I'm looking at these people and seeing them after I done came out through my storm, and I made it out. And I wouldn't even say clean, but I made it out. And I'm seeing them and they still in the middle of the storm and it's hitting them hard. And it's like you wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me.
Man.
Then there's me lending a hand and trying to be a helping hand or a shoulder to lean on or a light in the darkness. And they so deep in the storm that they looking at me like I'm weird. I'm messing up what they believe is a beautiful sunny day. But
Right.
I had to take in accountability that, when I was in my storm, when I was in my situation, you couldn't tell me it was raining. Even if I was soaking wet, I'll look around and tell you, like, this shit perfect. I'm fine. I'm good. Life is okay. And in reality, you really going insane. You watching yourself fall apart. You looking at yourself every day and you noticing the changes, you seeing everything go downhill, and to still tell yourself that everything is okay is a mental illness in itself. So to see people go through it and knowing you had a hand in on it, it's it's definitely it's mind boggling.
Yeah, no, it take a ounce. I mean, it takes a lot of guilt on a person like us, especially when you start getting that clean spirit and like thinking about it. But at the same time, at the end of the day, always got to forgive yourself. We are not
Sure.
perfect, and if you're making a difference today to be a good leader, like if I'm looking at myself, am I making moves today to be a good leader? You know, that's all I can do. The best I can do is the best I can do. I can't force nobody to and turn around like I did. I can't force anybody to see it the way I see it. All I can do is control my actions and encourage.
For
I can
sure.
example. I can enlighten the fact that there is a way. I can tell you exactly the system that I use to help me. But that's all I can do, and that's all.
Literally.
And then after that, I have to forgive and I have to pray. And then that other most useful thing a person can do is pray for them. Pray
Yeah.
for the enemies. Pray for whoever's out there still sick and suffering. And pray them into a place of peace or where they are able to see a life of fullness. Uh,
I like that you said that. That's real powerful.
Long time, I felt like, man, a lot
Um,
of people have been in
Go
these situations
ahead.
looking like, oh, Deuce used to do it or Deuce used. I mean, I tell you what, man, there's so many people I know like, well, he was in shape still and he was able to do it, so shouldn't be bad for me.
Right.
Or they're getting drunk on nights they're supposed to be going to work because they see me do it and they think like, all right, I can do it too, and they're getting fired. But it goes way deeper than that. I'm just saying on a like a tip of the iceberg
Yeah,
scenario,
for sure.
But I don't got to live like that, and nobody has to live like that anymore. As long as you get the information of what other options are out there. But my most important thing to tell you is that there is help out there for anybody that's struggling. Um, I know I went through it and I went through it hard. I went through in and out of jail, in and out of prison. I had so many points of time being high as a kite and then being sobered up, doing time, thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna get out there and do the right thing. Half of the battle was I'm thinking about doing the right thing. The other half was like, well, I met some cool cats in here, some cool potential plugs. I might get out here and hit them up when I get out, blah blah blah. Always trying to run my own program, thinking that things are gonna come out as a different, come out a different situation at the end of it all. But a lot of times it just went right back to the same shithole, right back
Right.
to.
So with that being said, what are your what is life like for you now? And what options do you have now
So
for you
today,
to make money and for you to get through what you're going through?
so today I work for myself, but you know what? The most important thing about that is like I had the freedom to do things like today. I am able to work for GrowthWorks, so I go back to GrowthWorks. They actually had me on a pay scale with them, to where I'm able to go assist the youthful offenders that they have. I've gone to talk. to the Inkster Police Department about dealing with the 14 through 17-year-old kids when they're pulling them over, like how to de-escalate a situation rather than escalating. Those are things I take pride in that I'm able to go back
Sure.
to young guys, go bowling with them, showing them little tricks that I used to do, like a 5-step approach. Like this is how I learned how to bowl,
Right.
and from that, being encouraging. A lot of these kids are on like tethers and done some stuff. You know what I mean? Uh, and a lot of them don't know. And this is something that GrowthWorks is doing now that's new, which is getting people that just went through their program. I'm out of the guys that they have had come back. I'm the only one that's actually been to prison. Um, there's some real good success stories of the guys that they brought back from GrowthWorks. But the fact that I get to work with GrowthWorks, the fact that I get to be a part of this community with the AA and NA fellowship, hosting parties, doing cool events. I've done sober events, beach days, um, what's that called? Silent discos where everybody's got their headphones on and everybody's
I
on.
think them real cool.
Yeah, man. So like to be a part of that, and my point is being a happy, healthy relationship. And I say happy, but like emotions go up and down, but it's a joyful joy set because that's something that can't be taken. And that's something that I am very grateful to have. I got a great relationship with my oldest daughter. I've gone through the ringer for my youngest daughter through the courts and system, and I got into the coaching for the basketball team out in Warren. I've been able to do
Fire.
things. The football assistant coaching coming up soon. I got invited to be on my own basketball team with some guys my age. And then beyond all that,
Cool.
I got people that reach out to me about my assured quality solutions. People reach out like, hey man, I can help vamp this logo up, or hey man, I got an algorithm for you to really start reaching out more leads. Hey man, I got this customer over here. They want some flooring done. I do painting, so I thought I'd forward your number. So like work comes in left and right. People constantly are always asking like, hey Deuce, you got guys, or are you available to work? Um, and that's something I would never have thought, and when I was living the way I was living, that I would ever thought would come. I know I always wanted something like this, but it's way better than I ever even dreamed.
Yeah, I always thought about that myself. It's like when you in the moment, you don't realize how great it is, how great the moment is. You don't really realize when you live in your dream that the dream has came true. I always like to think of it like when Jordan was making, all of those shots, when he was when he was setting those records, when he was at the peak of his career, he probably didn't feel like he was doing as good as he was doing. He was just locked in the moment and just working. And I like to think to myself that that's where you are when you in your prime, when you got your head down and you locked in and you not focusing on everybody else and everything else. You just doing what it is that you want to do and enjoying it. Then be the best times of your life. And
That's
it sounds like that's where you at right now. And I
very,
love that for you.
very thank you. Very grateful for my life, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I still believe the best is yet to come. But I'm here in the
Sure.
moment. Very grateful for everyone, everything that's happened, and where I'm at today. Um,
Sure.
yeah.
Talk about some other things that you like to do for money, if you don't mind me asking. Like
So
outside of working, what was you doing or what do you do when you're not doing construction, when you're not doing the sure quality, when you're not coaching, when you're not doing growth works? Give me two other things that you like to do that make you money.
So one of the things I got into not long ago was I started getting into buy, sell, and trade gold.
Wow.
So I started getting into the jewelry thing. I had a good friend of mine. He used to have a pawn shop, and I would see how that would operate and how that would work out. Um, so like I'd buy people's gold, test it out. Got the test kit. Um, we'd see what they would want, see how they valued it. I would show them what the numbers were with the amount of what gold is valued at. And then I'd allow them to know even after that value number is shown, that's not necessarily something that nobody can get back. You know, I can't get that back. The pawn store can't get that back. Even the jewelry stores. If anything, the best numbers I've ever seen is 80 to 90% of what that number is that they can get back. So even on top of that, a lot of people that are buying are only spending about 50%. So like if you took a gold chain to the pawn shop, if I took this chain, they'd pay me strictly for just the weight of the gold, and then they'd price that out and only probably give me about 50% of what the weight value it is, because it's worthless to them as far as what the craftsmanship is.
For sure.
So I usually run when I'm not doing the buy, sell, or trade of gold. I start getting into storage units. So I got a couple trucks and a van. So I get calls about stuff that needs to be cleaned out of storage units. And instead of just throwing everything away, I'll bid on it sometimes and see what's worth having, what's not. And I'll do like a buy, sell, and trade with that. So like I'll get tables and microwaves and beds and couches, chairs, you name it.
That's pretty cool. The storage units.
Yeah.
What's some of the wildest stuff you done found inside of one?
So I actually found a pair of. I've gotten 2 pairs of unauthenticated Cartiers. Let me see if I can pull them up.
What are unauthenticated?
Well, I haven't been able to check them out. Based off of my knowledge of what my Cartiers that I've not gone to Hutch's for, these have been authenticated. So like if you check them out, I mean it's probably hard to see on video, but I've got certain clarification that these are authenticated. These, on the other hand, have not. Now these are something that's come out of storage unit.
Wow.
Yep. Now I've got another pair that's been authenticated through over the years. This is back under my hustling years. They're a little loose, so I just don't wear much. But so these ones that haven't been, and then I got another pair that came out of a storage unit. That was pretty cool. They're like some woods.
You a Cartier collector, it looked like.
That's what it looked like, huh?
I like that.
Thanks, bro. What else have I've got? I actually got a TV from I've got some TVs. I've gotten I've got an MCM belt. You know, a lot of people don't leave like just garbage in the storage units. They be having some stuff in there, man.
For sure.
I didn't got.
What's the process of going and getting one of those storage units that people be leaving?
So you just gotta bid. You gotta bid on it. You get your LLC, then you get a registration to bid, and then the whole insurance thing. There's ways around it, and then you just go in there, and then you gotta. Don't matter what's in there though, you have to clean it all out. And then you get 3 days to do that. And then a lot of times you can find yourself getting stuff stored up all up in your house or in your garage or whatever. So
what about throwing the trash away? What about throwing it away? Can you do that?
You can't throw it away at their place, but yeah, you can go if you have a place to go take it to or just a dumpster somewhere. Yeah, you're more welcome, sure.
But but you like to find the valuables and then do what you can with those. I like that. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually fire. So it's kind of like the that TV show with the storage wars and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'll be feeling like I want to put an eye patch on and get my pirate hat on and say, "All right, where's the gold?"
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I feel that. Man. Sound like you got a lot of different little revenues to make some guap, man.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, it's been coming together. I feel like a lot of times right now, the winter season, it's a little bit more tighter with people wanting to spend. But it still make do. So I picked up a contract. Well, I went to go pick up a contract for snow removal. They already had somebody that was taking care of it, so they gave me a contract to do security. So I'm doing security downtown.
Wow.
Well, I was doing this on the Thanksgiving Day parade. The owners checked out my social media because they wanted to see how big I was, uh, and they seen that I did bartending. So they asked me like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing some bartending for us?" So I actually accepted it for the winter time. I started the end of November, right after Thanksgiving. I started, and I've been doing that now for the last couple months. So,
Is that hard for you to do with struggling with sobriety? Well,
so
not struggling with sobriety.
so everybody's completely aware that I've retired from drinking. For me, I'm fine. I feel comfortable. I still go to my meetings. That doesn't really come to my mind as far as wanting to do that. Kim, to be honest, I think the only thing that's ever come across my mind of wanting to do was smoking weed. Uh,
Mm,
but I just feel like, if I've already gone a year and a half without it and I've been doing just fine, I don't need to pick it up. You know what I mean? But
it's
I
powerful.
struggle with that thought often. It's just like once in a blue moon, it's popped in my head. Like, would it be that big of a deal? And it's like, maybe it could. Because, I mean, how many times have you gotten out of jail after a couple of days or something like that and smoked weed and then you're right back down the rabbit hole? So
Literally.
it's just not something I'm willing to take a chance on anymore and bet my life on anymore because I've come too far. I feel to take a chance just for a momentary feeling. But
Right.
alcohol and stuff like that, nope. I'm not in a point. I'm not in a environment where it's like a party. It's mostly professional people coming in there on their lunch breaks. It's a lot of people from like Rocket Mortgage or from like
Right.
Big Comerica Park, or I'm right there on Woodward. Um, and yeah, they come in there. I just, I'm real professional. Got my button up on,
Right.
touch blush. I always share about my business. A lot of people. That's how I've opened up doors about bidding on bigger jobs in Detroit. I'm working on a project with David Whitney Hotel.
Wow. What you gonna be doing down there?
So they got some work on the eighth and ninth floor. They're going to be doing a lot of moving because they're changing from having the extended to stay apartments into selling them for as condominiums. So they're going to be charging, I think, like $350,000 for these units. So a lot of people are going to be either moving out or moving in. And with me being a black-owned business owner, they're allowing me to get my foot in the door, and then I've already got a report with these guys to be able to do the bids with them. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
good, bro.
yeah, the moving laboring is pretty easy. I've already ran a business like that in my past. I was partnered up with a friend from the Westland area. Him and I ran a moving laboring company where basically they ordered their own U-Haul or their own truck, and we just loaded it all up for them and then delivered and then took it wherever it needed to be and unloaded it. So pretty seasoned in that. Know a couple. I got a few contacts that'd be good at just moving stuff around.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man. So if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, or if they wanted to hire you for some type of work, how would they get in touch with you?
So my cell phone number is 586-298-7240. I have it right at the top of my logo. And then if they ever want to contact me via email or through my website, it gives me direct link to me. It's Assured Quality, ASSURED, Quality, QUALITY, Solutions, SOLUTIONS.com. And they're able to get direct messages to me. If they want to schedule an estimate time, they can just write in the calendar what time they want to have me scheduled, what day, and then where their location is. And then it just get a little details of what they want to have looked at. And then I'll just I'd send them an email back, do our walkthrough, and usually come together with the contract.
Wow, that's nice. I like that. So it sounds like you got a nice professional setup. You ain't just one of these rinky dink guys that's just saying, "Call me and I'll come and take care of you."
No, not at all. No, I think that a lot of the business I like to do is I like people to know who they're dealing with, and I like them to feel comfortable, and I want them to trust. And a lot of times, if I can tell you my name, but if you go look on social media, you see the reviews, you see the ratings, you see some of the comments of what people had to say. You see the website, you see the logo, you see my business card, you see my trucks that got the matching logo. To what everything is. Now you know who I am. This is Duceo. This is Assured Quality Solutions. We know exactly who they are. We know what they stand for. Everything's lining up. Okay, we'll give this guy a chance. Here's our address. Help us out. We need your help, and I'm more than happy to come over and service their needs.
I love that, man. Well, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Is it anything that you want to share with the people before we close it out?
Cam, I greatly appreciate you having me on the show. I think that you are very much alike with me on the situations of what we grew up having. I've been nothing but in awe of your transformation. I'm sure I'll see on one of the podcasts about you sharing your story, but just like Cam and I, we all can make it out. There's always a way. If there's ever any time you need someone to talk to, please give me a call, whether it's about personal, emotional, mental, about work, business, setting up contracts. I'd be more than happy to help. And like I said, you can contact me through my phone number. You can contact through the email. There's help out here. And it's always good to help others in order to help yourself. It's one of the best ways to get yourself out of yourself is just being there in whatever way, shape, or form you can be.